All right, we're here. We're live. Got to get rid of this thing. There's some weird thing came up on the screen. All right, let me adjust this so we're more centered. All right, here we are, the very first live Q&A. I said it'd be roughly around 1 o'clock. I'm pretty close, like 2 or 3 minutes after. Hello, Best Edmonton Mall. Wow, I'm getting a note from a mall. That's fantastic. I'm followed on Twitter by a mall. Kingsgate Mall follows me on Twitter. By the way, if you are on Twitter and Instagram and you don't follow me, feel free to follow me over there. It's just at Brent Butt. I have a Buttpod account too for each of those, but I thought when I was starting from scratch, it didn't make sense for me to, like, if I had 170,000 followers following me, Brent Butt, why don't I just use those followers? So, yeah, if you're interested, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Brent Butt, and it's Brent, not Brett. So I'll just take a few minutes to ramble incessantly while we have people joining, because I didn't say 1 o'clock sharp. I said right around the 1 o'clock mark. And so here we are. This will give a few people, oh man, they're piling in. We're almost up to 30. Seattle is on. Hello, Seattle. Hello, Pacific Northwest neighbor. For those of you who don't know, I'm located in Vancouver, BC. Somebody who said they were watching Corner Gas earlier is very much appreciated. Here in Canada, of course, you can stream Corner Gas, the original 107 episodes and the movie on Crave TV, but you couldn't stream it anywhere else up until very recently. Now it's available to stream in 60 countries outside of Canada on Amazon Prime Video. So if you have an Amazon Prime Video membership account, you can stream Corner Gas and Corner Gas the movie. The original live action series, not the animated series, that's not available yet, but we're hoping to make that available soon. But yeah, so in Canada on Crave TV, that's where it streams, and outside of Canada on Amazon Prime Video. Wade Murray says, I watch Corner Gas every day. Excellent. Best thing in the world for you. I think 7 out of 8 dentists recommend watching Corner Gas every damn day, at least once a day. So this is my first live stream, for those of you who don't know. And so the notion is so I'm figuring this out as I go along. So I hope you have some patience with me. Bear with me. Cambridge, UK, originally from Brampton, Ontario. What would make you move from Brampton to Cambridge, to UK? What do they have in Cambridge they didn't have in Brampton, Ontario? But anyway, my point is, bear with me. Because I've never done this before, and I don't know, we're going to do it like a Q&A. That's the idea, right? Do it as a Q&A, but I don't know how quick, like, you know, the stream of all your questions comes flowing by fairly quickly. So I don't know how to, man, I just got to look at my app. That's very golden, right? I have my production table here, for those of you who saw my studio tour video. My production table is a poker table, and I have a poker light above it. I probably don't need it. Do you think I should go turn this poker light off? Let me know if you think. Is that weird and yellow? Hello, Kansas City. Danilo Girolametto. What is that, Irish? I love that joke. Whenever you hear a very Italian name, you say, what is that, Irish? It's just a classic joke from the 40s. All right, hang on. Let's just compare. I'm going to turn this light off. It'll take me 4 seconds. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? That's better. It's more natural. I mean, there's more shadow, but it's better without that light. Don't you think? Let's just roll like this, regardless. Here's the thing, too. For those of you who know me, you may know that I'm a huge Vancouver Canucks fan. Here's what I didn't know. When I set the time for this live stream, I said, let's go 1 o'clock Sunday, Pacific time. I didn't realize the Canucks were playing an afternoon game at 1 o'clock. Starts at 1 o'clock. So I'm here. I'm missing my favorite team to be here with you fine folks, answering questions. So here's, we're going to get started here right away. We've been going at this 4 hours and 30 minutes, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I want to try a little experiment. I want to see if I go to my channel, would I be able to see the questions coming up streaming beside? You know what I mean? I don't know if it makes sense. I'm going to try to do that, but I don't even know if that makes sense. Now, how am I gonna, I can't do it. If I go to, yeah, no, it's not gonna work, is it? Your team is playing my team, Benjamin says. You're a Vegas supporter, a Vegas Golden Knights supporter? That's cool. How about that for a run that team had in the very first year of their existence, right to the Stanley Cup. Oh, okay, so now I'm seeing, oh, see, now this is freaking me out. I was able to do it. On my laptop beside me, I've pulled up the live feed that I'm going into my phone. It's coming up here. And the notion is this will make it easier for me to see the questions as opposed to up here. So bear with me. Here I go. Moving my laptop somewhere I can see it better. All right. Should we start this Q&A? I'll take a minute to say hello to a few other people. Where's everybody from? Massachusetts, Winnipeg. We have people here from. Let me know where you're from when you first dial in. That way we can know. Okay, well, let's do this. Here's our first question. So, Sketch 3600 asks, was a Gruffalo book ever created? So the Gruffaloos, for those of you who aren't in the know, after Corner Gas, Nancy and I made a second TV series called Hiccups. And it centered around Millie Upton, played by Nancy. And Millie was a very successful children's author who had many emotional issues. She was emotionally unstable, children's author. And that show was called Hiccups. And her character, Millie Upton, the children's book that she made was called The Gruffaloos. And we ended every episode with a little cartoon that Millie had learned something from that episode and put it into a children's book. We talked about doing an actual Gruffalo book, but sadly, one never came about. And after 2 seasons, 26 episodes of doing Hiccups, CTV, our broadcaster, was sold. There was a management shift, and almost everything that was being made stopped being made. And so we did 26 episodes of Hiccups. Had we done a third episode, we probably would have done a Gruffalo book. Hello, New Jersey, Flemington, New Jersey. That's not an appetizing sounding place, Flemington. Luckily I spelled FL, not PHLEG, Emmington. Kamloops. Why was Corner Gas so successful? Where did that question go? Why was Corner Gas so successful? Basically was the question. I don't know. Wouldn't it be great to know? Because if I had the recipe and I could just duplicate it over and over and over, I'd have 50 hit shows on television right now. I would be the Aaron Spelling of Canada. But I have some theories as to why people responded to it. And the big theory for me is that the big reason is I think people responded to Corner Gas because it was authentic. We didn't try to be something we weren't. We came along at a time when a lot of shows were trying to tell you how edgy they were. Oh, watch our show. It's edgy. It's a dark, edgy show. And we just weren't that. And we didn't want to try and be that. We didn't want to try and be something we weren't. So we kind of just went about the business of doing a show that we thought was funny. As a result, I think people can tell, generally speaking, when somebody's trying to sell them something. I think most people can. The people I care about can. And so, they responded. They could tell we weren't trying to give them a shuck and jive. We were just trying to do a show that we thought was funny, and they responded accordingly. But I think it was very funny. I think we had a tremendous cast. We got so lucky. CTV gave us the resources to do a wide casting call, and that allowed us to look at a lot of actors. The result of that was we found some amazing actors who were able to breathe life into these characters. We had a great writing room. We had a great crew. So, yeah. Amazing team, Pamela Warren says. That's absolutely it. TV and film, like my background is stand-up comedy where you're really a lone wolf, that's what I love about it. But I also love TV and film is very much a team sport. You can't take any solo credit for TV or film. Jeremy asks, what is your favorite Corner Gas episode? I don't really have a favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite. I'll tell you this. I always enjoyed episodes where we saw our cast, our characters, somewhere they weren't normally. So as a result, I ended up liking a lot of the sports episodes, like Slow Pitch, like Face Off, the hockey episode, because we got to see our gang in a different environment. That was always a lot of fun to me. And 4 episodes that I wrote, I'm very proud of kid stuff. I love kid stuff. It's gleaned from my own life in a lot of ways. So, and I just like a lot of the jokes in it. Where did you first meet Nancy? Best Edmonton Mall asks. I first met her doing Corner Gas, really, when she auditioned for Corner Gas. Well, that's not really true. I had met her once before. I knew who she was because we both lived in Vancouver, and she was one of the top improvisers in the country. She did improv comedy with Vancouver Theatre Sports, and I knew of her and had met her, and I knew she was just very funny comedically. And then we were having a hard time casting the Wanda character. Nobody was really nailing it. And I had written the character originally a little bit older, but our casting person said, would you consider looking at an actor who's younger? And I said, yeah, there's no reason she has to be older. And she said, you know who I think would be really funny in this is Nancy Robertson. Like I said, I knew who she was. I said, yeah, she's very funny, very naturally funny. Let's have her audition. And everybody loved her audition. Everybody loved her read right away. So that's basically, I got to know Nancy doing Corner Gas. That's how that came about. Ryan Stanfield says, will there be a Trailer Park Boys Corner Gas crossover, East meets West? Oh, it's like the Grey Cup of television, East meeting West, the age-old rivalry. Isn't that what Canada's all about? There's no North versus South. It's East versus West, really. I mean, I don't think so, unless we did, because we're not making episodes of Corner Gas. If the Letterkenny guys wanted to have somebody from Corner Gas come over, that's on them. That's up to them. We're doing Corner Gas Animated. For those of you who don't know, we're in the middle of production on the 2nd season of Corner Gas Animated. Season 1 of Corner Gas Animated was a fantastic hit. Thank you to everybody who watched and who shared the word. It was the #1, the highest rated show in the history of the Comedy Network here in Canada. And like I said, we're working on getting that spread around into other countries, like the live action is now. Ian Richards, who I happen to know is from the UK, he says, any chance of a CG animated comic book? Well, there's a chance, Ian. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Ian Richards does a blog dedicated to Corner Gas. Refresh my memory, is it called Corner Gas blog, Corner Gas fan? Ian, throw up the name of it again, and I'll let people know what your blog is. But anyway, it's Corner Gas related blog that Ian does. So back to the question, will there ever be a Corner Gas comic book? Cornergasfan.com, Ian just said. You can go to cornergasfan.com and see Ian's blog. I don't think there's going to be a comic book. Never say never, right? Could happen. I'm very open-minded in regard to these things. It's just everything you do, is more work. And right now, I'm up to my snoot in trying to deliver the animated project. It's a very time-consuming, labor-intensive project for not just me, of course. I mean, the whole crew, the animators. I'm here doing this live, the Buttpod feed. I guarantee you the animators are working on Sunday right now trying to deliver this. So I like the idea of a comic book, but it's a lot of work. Love the pinball machine. Much love from Oshawa, Ontario, says Mike. My Spider-Man pinball machine right there. I posted a video of my studio tour. All the things you see behind me and the things you see in front of me, the things that are in front of me that you don't see, I did a studio tour video on the Buttpod YouTube channel here that featured all that stuff. So if you're curious about any of these things, go seek out that video. Let's see if we can find another question here. Let's see. Richard Bacca says, do you like Little Mosque on the Prairie? Can we get a crossover? You guys are big into crossovers. They're not making Little Mosque on the Prairie anymore. It'd be difficult to cross over. You guys are watching reruns and thinking they're going live right now. I'm going to have to explain how television works to you. What is your favorite beer? Asks Ian Newman. I enjoy Pilsners. I enjoy a Pilsner or any kind of a clean lager, I don't like something that has too much, I call it hang around. I don't like a beer that has a lot of hang around, where you take a sip and you swallow it but you keep tasting it for 20 minutes. I don't like that. I like a beer that's flavorful as it goes down. You swallow it, then it's gone. And the next sip is fresh and clean and brand new. And that's what I like, Pilsners and lagers, stuff like that. Hope says, how can we watch Corner Gas animated in America? She's in New Hampshire. Hello, New Hampshire. We're working on that. It's not available right now. Corner Gas animated is not available outside of Canada yet, but we are working on it. And I'm hoping come spring, sometime in the later spring, I'll be able to announce a deal that says, here's where you'll be able to watch Corner Gas animated in the States and the UK and New Zealand and Australia and everywhere outside of Canada. I didn't see who asked the question. Somebody said, do you ever do stand-up comedy down in the States? I have in the past, but I don't currently have the paperwork to work legally in your country. You know, you're big on people coming down and working legally down there. And listen, I'm nothing if not a believer in law and order. So the idea was for me to pursue the paperwork, but Canada just kept me really busy. I was fortunate enough that I kept getting a lot of stand-up work here, and then I got some TV opportunities. So I just stayed and worked in Canada. And, you know, as always, I didn't think that was going to be possible. One of the reasons I thought about pursuing work in the States was I didn't think I would be able to maintain a living in Canada with our smaller market and fewer options and opportunities in TV and film. But stand-up comedy kept me busy here. And once I got into production, I thought, man, maybe I can make a living here. And that's why you'll see at the end of Corner Gas Animated, you'll see my production logo comes up, Sparrow Media. Sparrow Media, I called my company Sparrow Media because a sparrow is a bird that doesn't feel the need to fly south. He can survive without flying south, fly south if he wants to, but he can survive without doing it. So that's where Sparrow Media comes from. But I do, we're talking about if Corner Gas Animated gets a broadcast deal down in the States and in the UK and Australia, wherever else, then I would maybe try and complement that with a stand-up tour through those countries. So stay tuned for that. I always post my live stand-up dates over on my website too, by the way, brentbutt.com. Scott Lewis says, hi from Tampa, Florida. We can send a few extra alligators to Dog River. I'm sure, I don't know why we would want those. No, we're good. We're good with the number of alligators we have currently in Dog River, which is 0. Let's see. Hello from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Love your show. Thank you, Tulsa. Thank you, Oklahoma. I have my mother's family came from the States. I have U.S. roots on my maternal side. My mother was born in Canada, but her parents had moved to Canada from Nebraska before she was born. She was from Nebraska. So that's where my U.S. roots are. Nebraska to Saskatchewan. That's kind of a lateral move, right? I always say my grandparents moved to Saskatchewan from Nebraska because they wanted to find a slower pace. They couldn't handle the hurly-burly life of Nebraska. They needed to find someone, needed to gear down. Do people think Dog River is a real place? Some people do, especially season 1 when people weren't super familiar with the show yet. It hadn't aired yet, and we were just making the show. And we had built this gas station from scratch. It was just a set. It wasn't an actual building. And so a number of times we would have people pull up to the pumps while we were filming, or the best example was this. We were doing a scene inside the set, inside the bathroom portion of the set. So out front, there was no lights, there was no cameras or anything, it just looked like a gas station. And apparently, 2 girls were roaring down the highway in their car. They had to pee really bad. They saw the gas station. They pulled in. They ran in to the gas station. They opened up the bathroom door, and there was just like movie cameras and lights and 42 dudes. That'd be a little creepy. That'd make you go to the bathroom right there, but without even hitting the toilet. Will there ever be, TMA 467 Gaming says, will there ever be a continuation on the sports episode? Not quite sure what you mean. There was a few sports episodes, hockey. There was slow pitch. The guys, oh, hello from Nebraska. We might be related. But no, I mean, we're not really we're not really looking to piggyback on existing episodes. We're really trying to create new, original episodes for the most part. But we do like dropping little hints, little teases, little homages to past episodes. Favorite place you like to travel to? That's a question from London, Ontario. Nancy and I are traveling more than we were. See, we started traveling, in our 40s, really, because both starting out in show business, neither of us had money to travel anywhere. I mean, I traveled Canada doing stand-up. I've performed in every province and I used to be able to say every territory until they divided up and created none of it. So I haven't been to none of it yet. But I've been to every province, 2 of the 3 territories. But outside of Canada, neither Nancy or I had traveled a lot. We're starting to do it now. And if you look at some of the videos here on the Buttpod YouTube channel, you'll see places that Nancy and I've shot some videos with Nancy and I traveling, like London and Copenhagen, and places like that, Lisbon. So yeah, I enjoy traveling. I like it. Hello from Newport Beach, California. Hello. The Filthy News asks, hey Brent, I seen you playing in my hometown of Truro, Nova Scotia a while ago. You were great. Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, Truro, Nova Scotia is essentially attached to my best buddy in the world of comedy, Jamie Hutchinson, a very funny stand-up comedian. He's from Bible Hill, Nova Scotia, which is very close to Truro. As he always says, Bible Hill is across a bridge from Truro, home of Stanfield's underwear and other fine products. He gets very uppity about it. Who are upcoming guests for the podcast? Well, I know I've been talking to Corey Hirsch, who is a former NHL goaltender, now an NHL broadcaster. I've got to know him a little bit. He travels with the Canucks and broadcasts their game on Sportsnet 650 AM radio, the voice of the Canucks. And so Corey, we're going to look to have him on as a guest, and then just various different stand-ups here and around town. I was just thinking today, I want to reach out to Katie Ellen Humphreys, who's a very funny local comic here. There's a ton of funny comics, and I want to try and get some other comics who are coming through town. So comics who aren't local to Vancouver. If you have, some panelist says, is Nancy keen on being in a podcast, like being a guest on the Buttpod? I've asked her to be, and she says she will, but then every time I say, how about this week? She says no. She said later done. So she said she will be a guest, but she thinks she should be a guest later on after the Buttpod has been up for a few episodes. But I haven't been able to maintain a very consistent schedule with the audio podcast, as many of you are well aware, once a month maybe, that kind of thing. Just because I have too many other duties, too many other things that I'm getting actually paid to do. So those have to be prioritized. The rest of the Corner Gas crew, yes, I've talked to Gabrielle. She said she would be keen to do it. Pardon me. Lauren lives out this way. So yeah, I'm sure I'm going to eventually I'm going to have all of the Corner Gas gang on on the Buttpod podcast. All right, other questions coming up here, because I'm going to bang this off for about another 5 or maybe 10 minutes. Ian Newman asks, would you get Kevin Smith? He seems to be in Vancouver a few times a year for a few shows. Yeah, well, I would love to have Kevin Smith. I've met him. I got to meet him. Very nice guy. And he didn't know about Corner Gas until he was on a tour of some Canadian cities promoting something. I can't remember what he was promoting. And anyway, everywhere he went, he said people were talking to him about, you should go on Corner Gas. You should be on Corner Gas. And he didn't know what the show was. And he ended up doing some research and finding out about Corner Gas. And he was very complimentary. And I would love to have Kevin Smith on the show. That's a guy who's done a lot, traveled a lot, seen a lot of things. Interesting dude, funny dude. Diamond Dick Chewy says, what's your favorite CFL team? And then 436 question marks. Let's get Rough Riders. I mean, I had to try and think of another football team. First of all, I'm only interested in the CFL. I don't follow the NFL. And that's not a slight against the NFL. I know it's very high-level football, arguably higher level than the CFL. Yeah, I suppose you could make that argument. But So many of the players cross over. Well, not many, but some. Somebody says, which Rough Riders? There is only one Rough Riders. There used to be two. There was the Ottawa Rough Riders and the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, all one word. But Ottawa is now called the Red Blacks. So there's only one Rough Riders, as there has always been in my heart, only one Rough Riders. Saskatchewan Rough Riders, 3-down ball. That's what I like. I don't know why anybody would need 4 downs to move a ball 10 yards. That seems like a bit much to me. 3 is plenty. I understand the NFL used to be a 3-down ball. I've heard that. I don't know if it's true. More questions before we... Somebody said, this isn't a question, it's an offer. Edward says, I'll buy you a chili cheese dog at the local Portillo's. I don't know what Portillo's is, and I don't know what local is, because I don't know where you're from. Edward? Was it Edward? I can't remember his name now either. They're all whistling past. Oh, somebody says, Richard Backus, where can I get existing Earth? That's a question in reference to when I was 19, I believe. 19 or 20? 19. I started a comic book with a buddy of mine, Colin, from my hometown. We started our own publishing company. We created a comic book called Existing Earth. It was a very 1980s, hormonally fueled, scantily clad warrior women fighting demons kind of thing. Very 80s, very heavy metal, science fantasy kind of thing. I don't know where you could find it. We had a print run of 1,000 issues each, and only about 400 of those ever hit the market. In theory, I have a box of them somewhere, but in my moving over the years, I don't know. Ask around. Ask at your local comic bookateria to see if they have Existing Earth. Rach31 says, would you get season tickets for the Canucks? I would if I was in town more, but I have to travel too much. Nancy, I think the second or third year that we were together, she bought me an 11-game ice pack, and I wasn't even able to go to all those 11 games. I was able to go to 9 of the 11, which is not bad, but I'm out of town too much. So it doesn't really make sense for me to buy. And plus the Canucks, I do a lot of fundraising events with the Canucks, and they're pretty cool. If I ever want to go to a game, they'll often just throw me a couple of tickets. So life's good that way. I have no complaints in that way or any other. Sorry, I just keep saying every now and then my ass logo pops up here. Don't be alarmed by this. This stands for Alternative Stand-Up Stage. This was a show that actually my buddy Jamie Hutchinson, who I talked about earlier, from Bible Hill, Nova Scotia, he and I used to produce these alternative stand-up stage shows. The idea of those shows were the comedians would go up and either the rule was you have to do material you've never done before, or you have to do material that a club owner has told you can't do in their club. That was the idea behind the alternative stand-up shows. And they were very fun shows. We did those a lot of years back. And I just found this shirt actually in a box when we were moving. The Cactus Nation asks, what is your favorite TV series besides yours? You know what I'm liking right now? I mean, there's a million. If you go back through history, TV history, I'm 52 now, so I got a decent history of TV behind me. Of the shows that Single Parents is a really good show. There's something about that show, aside from just being very funny, it's also very heartwarming and heartfelt. Taran Killam from SNL is kind of the driving force behind that, I believe. And Brad Garrett. There's a very talented cast of people. Single Parents. I really like that show. But I'm a big fan of British television as well. I like a good British murder mystery. My favorite of all time is probably the old Miss Marples with Joan Hickson from the 80s and early 90s. I loved that. I'm not watching a lot of TV. Favorite horror movie? I don't have a favorite horror. I have seen very few horror movies. Seamus, I believe it was Seamus who asked. Because here's why, because they're scary. They're scary as hell, the horror movies. I don't know if you've ever seen one. They're terrifying. And then I have bad dreams, and I don't want to walk down the alley or down the hall because they're terrifying. What I find about the horror movies is they're often very scary, so I avoid those. And I would recommend anybody do the same. Now, I know people who love them. But I don't get the thrill of being terrified. Some people get a real kick out of it. I'm not a thrill seeker. I'm not adrenaline junkie. I'm trying to write a stand-up bit about being whatever the opposite of an adrenaline junkie is. Coward is probably the closest, but no, I don't. The closest I ever come to adventure is that when I go to a new town and I check into the hotel and you have to relearn the cable channels. That's scary in and of itself. Hercule Poirot, David Suchet, yes, he is fantastic. One time when we were in London, Nancy and I went to the building that they use as the Whitehaven Mansions, just because I wanted to see it. And we went there and stood on the steps of the Whitehaven Mansions. Brad J. asks, what's your view on the recent Sirius Radio shakeup? Well, I posted my views on my channel. I wrote a little blog post. You can see it if you go to brentbutt.com. For those of you who aren't, I'll give you the nutshell. For those of you who weren't aware, there was for a long time a radio channel, I think since 2005, on Sirius XM Radio called Canada Laughs. And it was a fantastic channel. They played 100% Canadian comedians and all independently produced comedy material. And the comedians would get the royalties from those tracks that got paid. So it was a really nice bit of income for Canadian comedians. Not myself, I didn't have any tracks on there. But anyway, so it had been running since 2005, and then the audience kind of tailed off, as I understand it. And SiriusXM approached Just for Laughs and said, hey, listen, you're a big brand, you know comedy, could you consider retooling? Would you take over Canada Laughs or retool it? And so they said, well, what we'll do first is we will start pulling from our Just for Laughs archives. The bad part about that is that it was no longer 100% Canadian, and the Canadian comedians, the independent comics, lost their revenue stream. So there was a big squawk. It was all squawked about it. Everybody squawked and kicked, rightfully so. And Just for Laughs, to their credit, said, oh, hang on, we get you. We hear what you're saying. We're going to go back to it being 100% Canadian content, all independently produced. And so the comedians are going to go back to getting that live revenue stream. So the story has a feel-good ending. It ends good. That's the way I love all stories to end. I don't like them to be ambivalent or horrific. So this has a good ending. So you can, on SiriusXM, if you go to channel 168, that is Canada Laughs, or may have been rebranded to Just for Laughs channel now, but that's the best way you can support Canadian stand-ups. I mean, go out and live to see Canadian stand-ups in clubs and buy their albums on iTunes and stuff like that. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I always try and help promote Canadian comics when they put a new album out. But channel 168 on Sirius XM, know that somebody says it is still Canada Laughs on 168. At some point it'll be rebranded, I think, to Just for Laughs, or maybe Just for Laughs, Canada Laughs, I don't know. Anywho, that's a good way to support Canadian stand-ups and buy their albums and go perform, see them live. Brent, Team Captain America or Team Iron Man? I'm absolutely Team Captain America. In regard to that kerfuffle that they were having, I could not get behind. See, I'm being hypocritical. Earlier, I said I was a Law and Order guy, and this was here I am, essentially backing the rogues, the mavericks, who are kicking at the rule of law. That's a complicated thing, but just. Tony Stark is too snarky for my cup of fudge. I much prefer. He's very straight ahead. Captain America. I saw a dude wearing a Captain America costume the other day. There was a Comic-Con kind of a thing, an expo thing here in Vancouver, and when you don't know that's going on, you're just driving along, and you see a dude dressed as Captain America. You're like, I don't know that guy, and then next thing you know, Wonder Woman is there, and you're like, okay, that's a little coincidental. Too persnickety, Mike McSee says. Jeff asks, do you really like chili cheese dogs? You're damn right. Nature's most perfect food, the chili cheese dog. I really do love it. In fact, I wrote it into the Corner Gas scripts because I love chili cheese dogs. I used to eat them all the time, but they're not, hey kids, if you got kids out there listening, don't eat them all the time. They're full of things that aren't good for you. Nitrates and fats and sodiums and things like that. So I went on a bit of I wouldn't say health kick, but I dialed back my abusive food behaviors. And so chili cheese dogs were kind of out of my life for a while. And so here's this opportunity, me doing this TV show, I thought, I could write in that my character has a chili cheese dog every now and then it's not me, it's my character having it. It's guilt-free. So yeah, that was the thing. I wrote it in because it really is my favorite thing. And there used to be a place in Toronto called Milwaukee's that was underneath a comedy club called the Laugh Resort. Beneath the Laugh Resort, it's not there anymore, there was a pool hall bar called Milwaukee's. This is where all the comedians in Toronto would go and hang out. One of the places we would go and hang out after the show. And they made the best chili cheese dog I've ever had in my life. My mouth is literally watering now. Pardon me while I have a quick drink. I've been doing a lot of talking without having a sip. Not bad, I would say. All right, we're going to have to wrap this up very soon. We've been going 37 minutes now, I think. 35 and a half minutes of being live. How about this? I'll do 3 more questions. Let's see. Jeremy Meese says, do you like dogs? I do. I have a dog, Oliver. I'm surprised he's not in here. He usually comes out to the garage with me when I'm out here. If you listen to the podcast, you'll hear Oliver is out here. He's scratching at the door to get in or out. Oliver is a fantastic dog, a hound. He's a mix of we don't know what, Irish wolfhound and shepherd and lab, we think, something like that. He's a big galoot of a dog and lovey-dovey. But I grew up very afraid of dogs because I had been I'd had a number of bad encounters growing up in rural Saskatchewan in the 70s, you know, with a lot of large dogs running loose. And so I always thought every dog I met wanted to kill me. I do a big bit in my stand-up act about it. But I do, Oliver has brought me around. I never disliked dogs. I was like, oh, here's something that wants to kill me. I avoided dogs quite often. And then I got to know friends who had dogs, and they were fantastic dogs. And then Nancy and I got Oliver, and man, fantastic. I fell in love with this pooch. Murray Harrison asks, are you doing stand-up dates soon? I am. I have some shows coming up. Prairie provinces mainly. If you go to brentbutt.com/schedule, or if you just go to brentbutt.com and click on the little blue thing that says See Brent Live, you'll see my stand-up dates in there. That's where I always post my stand-up dates, as well as on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me there, at Brent Butt. What did I say? I'll do 2 more questions, and then we got to wrap this up. All right, is that fair? 37 minutes, 20 seconds. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, sketch, 36. Have you done any drawings you have shared online? Yeah, I've drawn stuff. I often draw on my tablet, and I use, you just asked about Oliver, and he just showed up. Here he is. See if you can get a load of that guy right there. There's Oliver. Have yourself a snooze. You've earned it. There's Nancy's old school bicycle right there. That's Oliver. He's about 80 pounds. He's like the size of a lab, you know, but he's got a wolfhound face, a hairy fuzzwuzzle wolfhound face. Yeah, he's hard at it. He's protecting us all right there. Yeah. Canucks sweater there. All right. Oh, and also over here, hanging up over there. There you see the Riders sweaters. Go Riders. Go Canucks. Let me get this centered again. Okay. Did I answer the question that was asked previous? I can't remember. Oh, it was the stand-up dates one, right? Now it's all crooked. I never should have moved the camera. Oh, I've ruined everything. Now it's all shaky. I'm sorry, everybody. We'll just have to end with things being a little wonky, a little crooked. Will Corner Gas Animated be on DVD? I don't think so. I'll be honest with you. I think DVD is going the way of the dodo. You know what I mean? If you're a fan of history at all, you'll know the dodo is a bird that went extinct. Yeah, there's just the hard copies aren't being made very often anymore. Now, people other than me will make that decision, I think. I mean, I'll talk to my partners about it. It's a long, convoluted, complicated thing, who has the rights to do what. But the long and the short of it is, I doubt very much that Corner Gas Animated will come out on DVD or Blu-ray or anything like that. It'll probably just be streaming. All right, our final question. Let's see. Pardon me for coughing so loudly into the microphone there. Where can we send you stuff? Asks Tal Ship Dreamer. Is that some attempt to get my home mailing address? Good luck. I'm not that. I was born in the day, but not yesterday. I remember that old chestnut of a saying. Um, if you go to brentbutt.com, there's contact information on there. That's the best thing to do. Um, what do you? Oh, that's right. I was drawing. That's right. So in regard to the earlier question about drawing, the question, I'll wrap it up here. I do drawings on a tablet using the Procreate software. And the cool thing about that is, as you sketch, it records all your pen strokes. And so if you want to, you can play it back as a video. And I often post those videos, those drawings, up on Instagram and sometimes on Twitter. Maybe I'll start posting some of them here on the Buttpod YouTube channel too, because it's fun to see when you go back and play it, and it does it all in very high speed. You can see all the pen strokes and how it goes from a pencil sketch to an ink sketch to colors. It's very cool. It's fun to do. So maybe I'll try doing that a little bit in the future. So I don't know. I feel like this worked out okay. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below when this gets posted, because these live streams automatically get posted so that there are video people can watch elsewhere. If there's something you think could make this go better, or if there's something that you wish I was doing that I'm not here live, this was the first one ever. So lots of room to grow. We can only go up from here. So let me know in the comments below. And thanks for checking out this live stream. Spread the word, tell your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to click that subscribe button. I post videos from being on the road or from behind the scenes in TV and film production, or sometimes just jerking around here in the game room studio. Though that's generally the type of videos you get here on the Buttpod YouTube channel. But I'm going to go live more often because I enjoyed this. It's been fun talking to you guys. Thanks for watching. Let's see if I